Hey everybody. So last night we got some big NHL news that I want to talk about a little bit today. Jordan Binnington has signed a long-term contract extension with the St. Louis Blues. It's a 6-year deal worth $6 million per season. So a 6x6 for Binnington. And let me tell you, I don't know what to make of this. This is going to be a really interesting contract to see how it works out long term. I feel like this could go really well for the Blues or this could go really bad. And there's going to be no in between. It's going to go one of those ways, either really good or really bad. And I feel like it's kind of a 50-50 shot as to which way it goes. But before we get fully into it, I just ask that you please subscribe and hit that thumbs up if you haven't yet. Helps the channel an absolute ton and is greatly appreciated. But Jordan Binnington here. He's been an interesting story since coming into the NHL. And I'm trying to pinpoint what I really think about this deal. It's just such a toss-up to me. Binnington obviously had that tremendous rookie season when he first got called up and led the Blues all the way to the finals and won the Stanley Cup, and the legend of Jordan Binnington was born. But since then, his numbers have gotten consistently worse year by year. He was awful in the playoffs last year. He's been kind of shaky this season. His numbers aren't great, and you wonder if committing long-term to a guy like this is actually going to work out over the long term. Just taking a look at Binnington's numbers and what he's done in the NHL. So, obviously, we go back to 2018-19. He comes in, plays the last 30 games of the season for the Blues. He goes 24-5-1 with a ridiculous 189 goals against average and 927 save percentage. The legend of Jordan Binnington was born, and then he goes into the playoffs and carries that momentum all the way through the postseason and takes the Blues to the Stanley Cup and wins the Stanley Cup for the St. Louis Blues. So there, everyone thinks Jordan Binnington is a superstar goalie at that point. No one really expected him to keep up the same numbers that he did in his rookie year in his second season, and quite frankly, he still had a pretty good second season. He started 50 games. He won 30 of them. He had a 2.56 goals against average and a 912 save percentage. So the numbers dipped a little bit, but that was fully expected. He was not going to be able to keep up the same numbers he did in his rookie year over the course of an entire season. And he still had a really solid year. The Blues were still one of the best teams in the West. And then they go into the playoffs, and Binnington gets absolutely smoked in the playoffs by the Vancouver Canucks. Now, there were a lot of mitigating circumstances to last year's playoffs, though. It was 5 months after the regular season ended. There was the bubble. There was everything going on with COVID in the world, and there were a lot of reasons to kind of just take that postseason and say, well, there was a lot going on. You can't read too much into that and just kind of toss it aside. But there was no doubt after that performance in the playoffs that Binnington needed a bounce-back season this year with St. Louis. Unfortunately, it hasn't really been a great season for Binnington this year with the Blues. He does have 9 wins and 19 starts, but his goals against average has gone up again to 2.69, which isn't terrible, but certainly isn't, top 5 goalie in the league level or anything like that. And the most concerning thing to me is that his save percentage has dropped to .908. So his save percentage is pretty significantly dropped here from where he was his first season to where he is now. And .908 is a very middle-of-the-pack save percentage as far as goaltenders are concerned. That's just kind of average, mediocre, in the middle. Certainly not top 10 goalie worthy. So, I have very mixed feelings about this contract. On one hand, we know that Jordan Binnington can be a great goaltender that wins a lot of games and puts up good individual numbers. And I know that statistics and numbers aren't everything, especially with goalies. A lot depends on the team around you and how the team is playing in front of you. And the numbers might be very different if Jordan Binnington was the goalie of the Tampa Bay Lightning or the Vegas Golden Knights instead of the St. Louis Blues. those numbers might be different. Maybe they wouldn't be. Who knows? But what we do know is that he's the goalie of the St. Louis Blues. His goals against average has gone up every year since coming into the league, and his save percentage has gone down every year since coming into the league. And the thing for me is the save percentage. That going from a Vezina level save percentage at .927 in 2018-19 down to a respectable but not spectacular save percentage of .912 in 2019-20 last year, down to a very mediocre average save percentage so far this year with a .908. And that's a little bit concerning. Binnington is 27 years old, so age really isn't an issue with this contract. You know, this contract's going to be up when he's, 33, 34 years old. So age isn't really a huge issue, but to me, the numbers declining every year is a little bit concerning if I'm a Blues fan, quite honestly. Like, you've just locked into this guy for 6 more seasons at a pretty hefty price of $6 million per year. That is what Markstrom got from the Calgary Flames. That's just below what Matt Murray got from the Ottawa Senators, and I did not like either of those contracts when they were signed. Murray's, I think, is particularly bad. Markstrom, again, I think Markstrom was very similar to Binnington, where it was kind of a coin flip as to which way it would go in the long term. And honestly, I think Jacob Markstrom and Jordan Binnington are, pretty similar when you look at them as far as their, the kind of goalies that they are and where they stack up as far as, rankings among starting goalies in the league. I think Markstrom's a pretty fair comparison to Jordan Binnington. Now, Binnington, his rookie year, when he first came up, was spectacular. He was maybe the best goalie in the league at the time. He had an incredible 18-19 season, but he hasn't been that at all since then. He's dropped back into much more of a, maybe top 10, probably just outside the top 10 kind of goalie. Very similar to, say, like a Freddie Anderson in Toronto or a Jacob Markstrom now with the Flames or someone like that. Like, he hasn't been a top-tier goaltender. And his numbers continue to decline, which to me is the most concerning part of this. So I don't know what to think. I'm a little concerned that the Blues might have locked in too long here, because there's a chance that this goes really, really bad. If his numbers keep going down, and we know that he's a bit of a head case at times too, which those goalies are very unpredictable into how they're going to play and how things are going to go with them. I would have been a lot more comfortable if this was a 3-year deal, honestly. If this was a 3-year deal, I would have been a lot more comfortable. It being 6, that concerns me for the St. Louis Blues, because they're locked into this now for a long time. And if he just kind of falls off a cliff, they're not going to be able to really get rid of that contract either. So Binnington signs with the Blues for 6 years at $6 million per season. I think it's a coin flip which way this is going to go. It could go really, really well if Binnington proves to be a franchise-level starter and get, back up into the .915, .920 type save percentage and, win 30-plus games every year, then this is going to end up being a good contract for the Blues, and they have their starting goalie for the present and the future. If his numbers continue to dip, this could end up being a really bad contract for the St. Louis Blues, and I really don't know which way it's going to go. I feel like it could go significantly in either direction, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But the most concerning thing for me is his save percentage number has gone from .927 to .912 down to .908 this season, and I do not like seeing that number drop to the point now where, if he gets down to around 900 or even below 900, that becomes a significant problem. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. I can't predict the future. I don't know which way it's going to go. We're just going to have to wait and see. I think there's some considerable risk with this contract, especially it being such a long deal. But at the same time, I think Binnington can be an elite starting goalie in the NHL, and he's shown that before with the Blues. He just has to get back to that form and do it again. So we'll see what happens, but there's my thoughts on the Jordan Binnington deal. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon, merchandise store, donation link, and now channel memberships are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.